this was really an extraordinary thing this week. So everyone watching my show gets the fight against critical race theory. And of course, the big story was that Merrick Garland, our Attorney General, in essence was sicking the Department of Justice on parents who were showing up to school board meetings to fight against it. Not because they were actually doing anything truly threatening, but he was in essence calling parents who show up and say, hey, I want to be involved in my kids' education. He was calling them domestic terrorists. Well, he had to testify this week and it got a little spicy. Let's take a look.
You've cited as the basis for that directive the National School Board Association's letter of September 29th. Was that directive being prepared before September 29th, before the School Board Association letter was issued?
I don't believe so. Certainly, I didn't have any idea.
So it was only prepared okay, I think that answers the question.
I already answered that question
So you keep citing the school board letter and news reports.
Right.
One of the news reports cited in that letter, which you presumably mean, is from Loudoun County, Virginia.
No, that is not what I was talking about.
Well, you keep citing news reports, and that's the most prominent news report that anyone in America has seen. That refers to Scott Smith, whose 15-year-old daughter was raped. She was raped in a bathroom by a boy wearing girls' clothes, and the Loudoun County School Board covered it up because it would have interfered with their transgendered policy during Pride Month. And that man, Scott Smith, because he went to a school board and tried to defend his daughter's rights, was condemned internationally. Do you apologize to Scott Smith and his 15-year-old daughter, Judge?
Senator, anyone whose child was raped is the most horrific crime I can imagine, and is certainly entitled and protected by the First Amendment to protest to their school board about that.
But he was cited by the School Board Association as a domestic terrorist, which we now know that letter and those reports were the basis for your.
No,
Senator, this is
that's wrong.
Shameful. Judge, this is shameful. This testimony, your directive, your performance is shameful.
Okay. That's not.
Thank God you are not on the Supreme Court. You should resign in disgrace, Judge.
That moment by Tom Cotton right there at the end, it's like we have so many politicians who refuse to say anything true, and he just really dropped something true there. So Sean, go ahead.
I felt like it was reminiscent of when Mueller was testifying, how ill-prepared he was. I mean, I don't know if Garland's staff prepared him, looked at a newspaper, did a Google search about key issues, because he looked flat-footed throughout the entire process. And I felt like that as someone who has staffed a lot of principals in the past, that it was a real either he doesn't know what's going on or his staff let him down or both. But the idea that he seemed so ill-prepared for this hearing and understanding the source materials that he had to have known were coming his way really was, to me, the big takeaway.
Yeah, so Liz, is this story just like the perfect example of almost everything? In essence, he got a one-page letter that has since pretty much been retracted, saying that parents are domestic terrorists. He references that letter, and then he says media reports are saying that parents are domestic terrorists, so we're going to do something here at the Department of Justice. And of course, when I saw the story breaking and I saw CNN picking it up and MSNBC picking it up and everywhere else, I was like, something doesn't add up here. Like, they've got one piece of paper. Next thing you know, the media is reporting on it. The fact that he even uses the media as if that is evidence of anything, doesn't it just tell you what a perfect storm of nonsense this is?
And by the way, too, the woman who crafted that letter from the School Board Association, the National School Board Association, and sent it to Merrick Garland, she now has a position in the Biden administration on the education governing board in the Biden administration. This is after she wrote that letter. So the Biden administration is not even pretending that this is an aberration or a mistake or an isolated incident. No, they're embracing this. This is why, Dave, this is why Youngkin is up by 8 points, according to the latest Fox News poll in Virginia, because it's no longer the left versus the right. This is the left versus parents everywhere. You don't have to be a Republican or a conservative or anything close to understand that your daughter is at risk if men are allowed in the bathroom with her, that your child is at risk if they're going to be indoctrinated with ideology that teaches them that they're racist if they have white skin and oppressed if they have black skin. This is no longer a partisan fight. This is parents versus the left. And the left, instead of doing what they normally do and pretending that they don't embrace this radical view, they are actually doubling down. And it's causing parents to be like, well, then you don't represent me and we're going to vote for your opponent, as they should.
Right, so this is sort of Eric's point from earlier. Sean, do you think we kind of owe them a thanks in a way when they've gone so far where they will tell you that we're going to inject your kids with stuff, and by the way, we don't know what's going to happen until we do it, and then we'll figure it out, or we say we're going to call you all domestic terrorists for not wanting this neo-racism in school. It's like, it's one thing to attack the adults, but now that they've shifted it to the kids, maybe we do owe them a thanks here because the Great Awakening might be upon us?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's absolutely right. You think about how many people are now engaged in the political process that weren't otherwise, that are attending school board hearings, that are running for the school board. But then the worst part of this is that you have Barack Obama coming into Virginia talking about it being a made-up controversy, a right-wing thing. I mean, the bottom line is I literally have a chapter in my book, Radical Nation, documenting its origins, what it seeks to achieve. This is not made up. This is very real. And in school district after school district, parents are having these conversations. I talked to one parent about a month and a half ago who's telling me that they have to write essays as parents talking about how in the home they are addressing their white privilege with their kids. And it's like the parents, and if they don't do it, and then I talk about one other example where there's a woman who's actually Asian. She came out against some of the things that were going on in the school, and the group of parents that were supporting this called her employer, called the HR department and said, we just wanted to alert you to some of her racist behavior outside of the workplace. In case anything comes up inside the workplace, you know that it's a pattern. But these are the tactics that they are employing to get their way and to cancel and shout down everybody.
Man, our work is cut out for us. But
by the way, I would love if a teacher ever asked me to write a letter like that, I would be absolutely happy to send one back to the school telling them exactly what I think of white privilege.